morning, I'm Pauline Verzosa. It is Wednesday, the 4th of February, and we're bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Senate President Tito Soto revealed he is aware of recent efforts to push for a leadership change at the helm of the Senate. And according to Soto, Senator Loren Legarda was reportedly tapped to take over the presidency amid brewing tensions among the majority bloc. The fate of the impeachment complaints against President Bongbong Marcos hangs in the balance as the House Justice Panel schedules the critical substance vote for today. Lawmakers opted to postpone the decision to ensure a thorough evaluation of the evidence submitted by both the Makabayan Bloc and Attorney Andre De Jesus. And the low-pressure area east of Mindanao has intensified into Tropical Depression Bashang after entering the Philippine Area of Responsibility. The storm is forecast to gradually strengthen as it heads towards Caraga, with landfall expected by Thursday evening. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. And now first on the agenda, moves to unseat Senate President Tito Soto are surfacing after Soto himself confirmed that the Senate presidency was allegedly offered to Senator Loren Legarda. More details in this report.
Totoo ba na tinanggil yung Senate presidency kay Senator Loren? You have that information?
I heard that. I was told.
You were told by Sen. Loren?
Yes.
Talaga?
Senate President Tito Soto himself confirmed that there were moves to unseat him from his post. Soto said the Senate presidency was allegedly offered to Senator Loren Legarda. The Senate president said he and Senator Legarda spoke just the other day. However, Soto declined to go into detail about the information he received.
Well, what exactly happened, SP?
Actually, I'd rather not dwell into it already. Yung walang kapag-usapan yung mga... Kasi they were merely talks.
Pero inalok yung Senate presidency kay Sen. Loren. That's what
I was told.
Sinabi ba ni Sen. Loren kung anong naging response po niya?
Pinakamaganda, sinabi niya hindi siya interesado.
Despite this, Soto said support for his leadership within the majority bloc remains solid.
Hindi delikadong lumipat ng bakod si Sen. Loren kasi solid ba siya sa inyo?
Oo.
Inassure
Oo naman, ang buong majority namin very solid. As a matter of fact, baka mga dalawa sa mga hindi namin kasama dati, baka mapasama ko eh.
Soto also said they have long been in talks with some members of the minority who may be willing to move to the majority bloc, but he declined to name them. Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson called malicious and sadistic the narrative being circulated that Legarda supposedly volunteered to recruit supporters in order to become Senate President herself. Senator Legarda gave a measured response on the issue.
May kumakausap daw sa inyo, ma'am?
Ang daming kumakausap sa akin araw-araw.
Ako.
Lahat naman kinakausap ko. Teka.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ako, ko yung tinanong ko kasi nabasa ko yung news.
But who offered the Senate presidency to Legarda then?
From minority bloc. From minority?
Earlier this week, Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano said discussions among minority bloc members have been ongoing, particularly on Senate issues and the direction it is taking. However, Cayetano said they do not have the number to oust Soto. Minority Senator Robin Padilla, for his part, said he does not see any reason at the moment to change Senate leadership.
May usap ba ng pagpapalit ng leadership? May gusto kayong ibang Senate President?
Mas marami akong iniisip na iba. Hindi ako... Neophyte lang ako. Ano naman ang alam ko dyan sa ganyan?
You see the need to change leadership?
Okay naman ako. Wala naman ako masasabi sa ngayon sapagkat ako'y busy. Sa totoo lang. Oo. Pero siyempre, mga usap-usapan na ganyan, hindi naman nawawala yan. Andyan na yan eh.
But Padilla said it will be a different conversation if an impeachment case against VP Sara Duterte reaches the Senate.
Ay siyempre.
Bakit po?
Hindi naman siguro kailasan man sa inyo. Ayaw ko ng impeachment. Hindi ba obvious? Eh siyempre, kailangan...
From the minority.
Sana, inshallah, God willing.
And pro
Pro bayan.
but supportive of VP Sara.
course.
Yun yung gusto niyo maging SP, just to be clear po.
Wala na tayong plastikan.
Well, in other news, the House Committee on Justice has postponed voting on the sufficiency in substance of the 2 impeachment complaints filed against President Bongbong Marcos, resetting the decision to February 4. During yesterday's lengthy deliberations, committee members stressed that the president cannot be impeached over allegations that he allowed the kidnapping and surrender of former President Rodrigo Duterte to the International Criminal Court. This allegation was included in the first impeachment complaint filed by lawyer Andre De Jesus and endorsed by Pusong Pinoy Party List Representative Jet Nisay. Both majority and minority members of the committee agreed that the government legally enforced an ICC arrest warrant coursed through the Interpol.
There's no impeachable offense. We all know that there's no kidnapping. Second, the arrest was by virtue of an arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court.
Committee members also expressed skepticism that unsubstantiated claims regarding the president's alleged drug use could qualify as an impeachable offense. Several lawmakers further criticized the evidence submitted by De Jesus, noting that it relied heavily on news reports rather than firsthand or corroborated proof.
Senator Amy, the sister, admitted or alleged or announced that PBBM is a drug addict. Again, this is not a factual allegation but a conclusion that because Senator Amy admitted or announced that PBBM is an addict, then he must be an addict.
And the palace reiterates that President Bongbong Marcos respects the separation of powers among the 3 branches of government. This follows the ombudsman's statement that it is not easy to obtain the sal-ends of lawmakers implicated in the flood control scandal. And while the president continues to push for transparency and accountability, the palace said he will not interfere in the jurisdiction of Congress.
Kung ano man po ang rules ng House of Representatives or Kongreso patungkol po dyan, yan po ay ginagalang ng Pangulo. Iniiwasan po ng Pangulo na magkaroon ng executive, overreach.
Meanwhile, Malacanang says they will allow the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, to decide on the direction of its investigation. This includes a decision on whether to appoint additional commissioners or increase the commission's funding.
Kung gusto pala lang magpatuloy, sabihin lamang nila sa Pangulo at susuportahan sila. Kung sasabihin po rin nila na tapos na kanilang obligasyon, makikinig po ang Pangulo.
And in other news, Senator Raffy Tulfo has criticized Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco, saying some promotional materials seem to highlight her personally rather than the country's tourist destinations. Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes has that report.
The slogan reads, "Love the Philippines." But in the photo, not a single destination in Manila or any province, but that of Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco. Her image was on the cover of a Japanese magazine. Secretary Frasco even has a photo at the airport and one riding a boat. All these snapshots were presented by Senator Raffy Tulfo on Tuesday's hearing on the tourism sector and the many issues it faces.
I'm very sorry, Secretary Frasco. Parang lumilitaw na ikaw ay nagiging vlogger na it will not sell pag doon sa mga marketing materials natin puro mukha mong nakalagay doon. Ipakita po natin yung mga tanawin o yung mga reasons why tourists will visit the country.
But Frasco explained, this was not her idea nor her doing.
The magazine that bore my image, called Philippine Topics, that was published in Japan and subsequently distributed for free, absolutely had no consent, funding, or information on the part of myself or on the part of the Department of Tourism.
But what about this photo at Boracay Airport? Frasco explained it was just a welcome tarpaulin for a tourism project on the island which she helped launch. Then, yet another photo that has gone viral. And just like all the other snaps have become memes, this one in Lake Cebu at South Cotabato, where Frasco is seen on a boat.
How about Miss Cotabato instead of you? Na
Yes.
kilala sa lugar na yan. Bakit hindi na lang po yung isang native na kilala ng mga tao na kapag nakita nila, agad-agad maintindihan nila bakit siya nandyan as opposed to ikaw.
The photos that have been used and transformed into memes are actually work photos.
Is that AI? You're telling me that's AI?
No.
Okay.
This is a work photo. I
Okay.
was in Lake Cebu in South Cotabato promoting the Philippine Experience Program. My presence there was a legitimate one, and it was to help the destination.
Frasco also insisted that she has no reason to promote herself, but this only sparked a heated discussion between her and Tulfo.
Any accusation of self-promotion would fall flat because I am not running for any national position in 2028, and therefore there would be no reason for me to promote myself.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm not saying that you're running. Don't put words into my mouth. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, yung po nakakalata yung mga tao na parang pinopromote yung sarili mo for whatever reason. Now, also, ma'am, compared to other countries like Vietnam, Korea, Malaysia, Japan, hindi niyo po nakikita yung mukha ng mga secretaries ng Department of Tourism nila doon eh. Wala. Never.
In the end, Frasco said she's willing to send over to Tulfo's office a detailed report on what the DOT has achieved for the country's tourism. In the same hearing, the issue of exorbitant airfares to local tourist destinations was also raised. Several netizens have pointed out that vacations abroad have become more affordable than trips around the Philippines.
There is a glaring disconnect between our marketing and our reality. Pero paano ito mangyayari kung ang presyo ng flight patungong Siargao o Palawan ay mas mahal pa kaysa lumpad patungong ibang bansa? One-way ticket to Siargao can cost as much as 18,000 to 20,000 pesos, while a round trip to Japan or Hong Kong is significantly cheaper.
The Air Carriers Association of the Philippines, or ACAP, explains that infrastructure problems add unnecessary costs, such as limited runways for tourist spots.
And coming right up, Representative Terry Ridon joins us to discuss the impeachment complaints against President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte. Don't go away. Morning Matters will be back after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning and welcome back. I'm Pauline Verzosa, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and we give you the context behind the headlines. The House Committee on Justice has deferred its vote on the sufficiency in substance of impeachment complaints against President Bongbong Marcos. During deliberations, lawmakers largely questioned the merits of the first complaint, saying the allegations ranging from corruption to the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte did not clearly rise to impeachable offenses. The committee is set to reconvene today to decide whether the cases have enough substance to proceed to full impeachment hearings. And joining us now is Representative Terry Ridon, representative of the Bicol Saro Party List and a member of the House Committee on Justice as well. Good morning, Congressman, and thanks for joining us here on Morning Matters.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, Kong Terry, I'm sure the past 2 days have been quite busy for you, along with the other members of the House Justice Committee. But let's dissect first the events that took place yesterday. The committee held its second hearing on the impeachment complaints against against President Bongbong Marcos, and this time the focus was on determining sufficiency in substance. But help us understand, Kong, no, gaano po ba talaga kataas yung threshold in determining sufficiency in substance?
Well, yung threshold po will depend on each and every member's determination on whether or not the allegations and the facts being presented rise to a sufficiency in substance. No? So, yesterday, there had been discussions on the first impeachment complaint filed by Attorney De Jesus. So, maraming pinag-usapan doon. Yung, firstly, yung supposed kidnapping of the former president and bringing him to The Hague. Firstly, ito po ay hindi kidnapping. This is an implementation of a warrant of arrest, no, issued by the International Criminal Court, coursed through the Interpol, and in which the Interpol coordinated with the Philippine government. No? So this was an implementation of a treaty obligation of the Philippines to Interpol to implement an arrest. No? So I think that needs to be cleared kasi yung binabanggit na kidnapping, it is a conclusion of law. It does not describe accurate facts as to what had happened to the former president and as to why he was brought to The Hague, to the International Criminal Court. Yun yung first. No? So second, napag-usapan din yung pong supposed drug addiction ng ating pong Pangulo. Simple lang ho yung sagot po ng mga kinatawan kahapon. Wala hong ebidensyang iprinsinta sa bagay po na ito. Ang binabanggit lang yung pong talumpati ni Senator Amy Marcos alluding to an addiction of the president. No? So insufficient po na yun lang po yung magiging batayan po dito. Pangatlo, yung pong failure to revoke, yung failure to veto, yung pong unprogrammed appropriations. Ang sabi po ng mga kinatawan dito ay yung pong power to veto and not to veto ay discretion at kapangyarihan po ng Pangulo po ng Pilipinas. So, kumbaga, it will not rise to an impeachable offense. No? Tapos pang-apat, napag-usapan din po yung supposed kickbacks mula sa flood control corruption. Wala akong naipakitang ebidensya. Actually, pinag-usapan lang po talaga kahapon. Puro nakabatay sa mga news reports, news articles po, yung mga sinabit po nga ebidensya noong po nga De Jesus complaints. At ang sinasabi ng mga kinatawan, parang hindi ho obra na mga news articles lang po yung magiging batayan ng isang impeachment complaint. At panghuli, yung pong usapin ng pag-create po ng Independent Commission for Infrastructure, yung ICI, ito po ay ginamit lang daw po to shield allies, no? Pero naglinaw po kahapon na sa totoo lang, meron pong may nakakulong na pong aliado ng Pangulo. Pangalawa, marami na pong mga prosesong tumatakbo ngayon sa bagay po na ito. In fact, meron pong Senate Blue Ribbon Committee partial report na parang napapangalanan po yung ilan pong mga nakaupong mga senador at ilan pong mga kongresista dito po sa bagay ito. So, even on that point, parang hindi totoo na ginagamit po ang ICI to shield allies.
Well, you actually also pointed out, Kong, no, I saw in an interview that in the over 20 annexes, 3 lang doon yung hindi news articles. Are news articles not counted as authentic sources? And if so, just for the benefit of our viewers, what then counts as a solid basis to authenticate allegations?
Well, firstly, dapat nga at the level pa lang ho ng form, pinag-usapan na ho yung yung submission of authentic documents, and secondly, yung pong complaint should be based on personal knowledge. Kasi in previous impeachment proceedings, alam po niyo sa form pa lang ho, doon na ho na-raise yun eh. Kung based on personal knowledge or authentic records po, yung pong batayan po ng complaint. So, to answer your question, pwede hong supplementary documentation, no? Yung pong news articles. Pero, siyempre, when we speak about authentic records, dapat galing yan doon sa mga certified true copies, for example, ng mga official records, no? Katulad ng mga court cases, Senate or Congress committee reports, no? At iba pa hong mga government documents, no? Pwede rin ho dapat na, for example, meron kang personal knowledge on a particular high crime or an impeachable offense, dapat meron pong affidavit na ipinasa. So, for example, doon po, kung gagamitin halimbawa ito pong Zaldico videos, dapat po meron pong actual affidavit si former Congressman Zaldico, talaga po nagsasabi na siya ho halimbawa yung gumawa po ng video po na ito. So, yung mga yan, wala akong mga naipasang mga ganun pong mga dokumento. Kasi siyempre, hindi naman pwedeng, third-party information po yung pinagmumulan, and more importantly, hindi ho pwede na talaga pa, na parang ang dating parang manufactured lang po yung pong mga documentation or evidence na ipinapasa po natin.
I see. So even with the videos of, particularly of former Congressman Zaldico narrating that the president benefited through kickbacks in flood control schemes, wala pong presumption of authenticity doon kahit na hindi naman AI-generated yung video and this was attached to the impeachment complaint. Kailangan pa rin i-certify yun, Congressman?
Kailangan pa rin ho ng affidavit pertaining to it, no? Siyempre, to be very clear, up until today, marami pa rin ho hindi naniniwala na hindi AI generated, no? Ito po Zaldico video. So, talagang susi po talaga na meron pong pagpapatotoo mula sa kanya na siya po yung nasa videos na ito kung gagamitin po ito sa isang impeachment proceeding.
But doesn't that make this whole process arduous for the complainant? Because it means that they would have to go to these lengths, they would have to acquire these affidavits, true copies, even before filing an impeachment complaint. And that might be a tall order for, let's say, a private citizen who would like to file an impeachment complaint.
Well, we have to be very clear na hindi po ito labanan lang ho ng propaganda or press release, no? This is a legal, political, and constitutional process. So, bahagi po ng legal process yung pagtitiyak na ito po ay una, personal knowledge, at pangalawa, based on authentic documents. No? So, for example, wala naman hong nagsasabi na, halimbawa, hindi ho pwede yung mga official records In fact, pwede hong kunin ng mga ordinary mamamayan po ito, mga official records, to, for example, point to impeachable offenses. No? Pwede hong gumamit ng mga Senate committee reports. Kaya nga, for example, merong annex doon na Senate committee report, pero ang tanong ho natin actually kahapon, nakakuha ba sila ng certified true copies of these Senate committee reports? Kasi ang totoo naman, even without, for example, an affidavit, if you will be able to basically build your case of an impeachable offense through official records with certified true copies, tingin ko wala naman pong magiging ganun pong problema para sa ordinary mamamayan.
But yesterday, Representative Shell Diokno, I think, raised an important point. He said, does this mean that the complainants will not be given the opportunity then to authenticate their documents during the evidentiary phase? Because that's part of due process and that should be accorded to them during that phase, because this could also affect other impeachment complaints. Sabi niya, in the stage of determining sufficiency in substance, lawmakers or members must simply look at the allegations and hypothetically admit that they are true, and only then, after you determine sufficiency, will you go to the evidentiary phase. Can you explain that to us, Kong? Yeah.
Well, tama yung bahagi na meron pong aspeto during the hearing proper na meron pong authentication, actual authentication of documents, no? Pero simple lang naman ho yung tanong actually kahapon. Yung po bang mga dokumento, without even going to the actual text, no, of the documents. Simple lang yung tanong kahapon una, meron po bang affidavit relating na meron pong personal knowledge ng complainants? Pangalawa, based ba on certified true copies yung pong mga submissions? So, simple lang po yun. It doesn't go into the text or the content of the document, which can actually come, like what he was saying, in the next stages of the proceeding. So, it was a very simple question. Kasi nga, like what you had stated, these questions, if in the negative po yung sagot, typically ho, at the level of form, sufficient to inform, di-dismiss na ho yung mga kaso. Actually, nung sinabi ho yun, in the first instance, doon sa determination of form, sabi nila, sa next stage na yun itanong. So, it was properly asked already at the level of sufficiency in substance. Kasi totoo po, if they will insist na it should be at the next stage and not at the first stage, which is at the sufficiency of form pa lang po. Ang pwede ho talagang maging next step po ng mga House members po doon to make a motion for reconsideration on the determination of sufficiency in form. And I don't think House members would want that, no? Kasi pagka ho ganun, tapos nagkatalo na already on whether it is based on personal knowledge or authentic documents, pwede hong immediately mag-fall yung pong mga impeachment complaints po na ito.
Okay, so let's go to the order of business today for the Committee on Justice. You will be having your vote and explain the process to us, Congressman. When you vote on the first impeachment complaint or any impeachment complaint, will you vote on it as a whole or per offense po ito?
For the entirety of the impeachment complaint po. Yun po nga pagboto. But, before going into the vote, mamaya ho, yung po nga presentation po ng second impeachment complaint. So, pag-usapan po doon kung meron po nga culpability ang Pangulo doon sa DPWH parametric formula. Yung sinasabi po nga batayan ng pagkakaroon po ng mga allocable supposedly ng mga lawmakers, congressman, senador, at even executive officials. So, yun yung una. Pangalawa, pag-usapan nga doon, syempre, system din po ng kickbacks, no? Kung talaga pong meron pong direct involvement ang Pangulo dito po sa sinasabi pong system of kickbacks sa flood control, corruption. At syempre, pangatlo, pag-usapan pa rin po yung pong hindi na lang yung pag-veto ng unprogrammed appropriations, kundi yung paggamit mismo ng unprogrammed appropriations. Kung meron pong personal at high level na pananagutan ang Pangulo sa bagay po na ito.
So you will be discussing the second complaint first before you have the vote, and the vote will already include parehong complaint na, Congressman. But for the second complaint, do you foresee lengthier deliberations for this one? Because some analysts also foresee that the main objection for the second complaint is that it will be difficult to prove culpability on the part of the President.
Well, tingin ko mas mahaba po yung talakayan. Although, syempre, mamaya kasi sila na agad yung isasalang pagbukas po ng komite, no? Pero, syempre, mas mahaba at mas voluminous po yung dokumento. Kasi, I think there will be a presentation of the DPWH parametric formula, no? So, mahaba po yun. Syempre, pangalawa, there will be a discussion on unprogrammed appropriations. So, mahaba rin po yun kasi yung prinsipyo na po ng unprogrammed appropriations yung pag-usapan dito. So, ultimately, yan po yung mga iikutan nito pong talakayan ngayon pong araw na ito.
And just to clarify, Kong, kasi parang Chairwoman Luistro touched on the reports. Sabi niya, if the committee finds the complaints insufficient, and that's what comes up in the committee report, and this is referred to plenary, may possibility na i-override ito sa plenaryo. And then the committee would be constrained to convert these into articles of impeachment. Is that really a possibility?
Hindi. Proseso po yung tinalakay niya. So, assuming, for example, na hindi ho makakuha ng more than 2/3 vote, yung pong dismissal nito pong impeachment complaint po na ito, talagang tama yon. It will convert into articles of impeachment, and then it will proceed to trial, no? So ayan po yung proseso po ng voting at the level po of the plenary.
Okay, and for the impeachment complaints of the Vice President, what's the status on that, Congressman? Is it still with the House SecGen?
Inantay po, wala pa akong balita kung na-forward na po sa House Speaker ito pong mga dokumento po, no, nung pong impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero ang ating po expectation, hopefully within this week or by next week, magkaroon na po ng referral at the level of the plenary to the House Committee on Justice, no? Pero syempre, this does not preclude also kung meron hong makukuha na 1/3 support of all House members para we can still do an express route to the Senate for trial.
And I think it's also important to define yung timeline, ano, Kong? Because you said that it might be prudent to wait until February 6 before the complaints of against the Vice President will be referred to the Justice Committee. Kasi medyo dinadebate pa kung kailan ba talaga nag-end yung one-year prohibition rule. If it's January 15 or February 6, because a lot of people were surprised kung bakit napaaga yung filing ng impeachment complaints. But walk us through how that will work, Kong, ano? Yung waiting for February 6, because later on, baka i-question din naman yung constitutionality niyan, saying na dinelay yung pag-refer.
Well, yung Reckoning Act para po dito sa usapin po ng one-year bar ay yung pong referral to the House Committee on Justice. No? So, for as long as wala pong referral yet to the House Committee on Justice prior to the 6th of Feb, tingin ko wala na kung magiging problema yan doon po sa mga timelines po na sinet ng Supreme Court, whether under the original timeline of the original decision or doon sa new timeline under the motion for reconsideration resolution. No? So, I don't expect a referral this week. So, hopefully by next week po, magkakaroon ng actual referral po to the House Committee on Justice.
All right, well, we're going to leave that there. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That was Congressman Terry Redon, representative of the Bicol Saro Party List and a member of the House Committee on Justice. Thank you, Kong.
Good morning. Thank you.
And coming up, from the Senate leadership battles to the impeachment hearings at the House, we are breaking down the nation's top political stories. Political analyst Dr. Dennis Coronacion will join us to make sense of it all. Don't go away. We will be right back after this short break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. As we know, Senate President Tito Soto confirmed that Senator Loren Legarda was offered the position of Senate President but declined, telling him she was not interested. Despite recent efforts to unseat him, Soto said the entire majority bloc remains solid. Meanwhile, Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Senator Ping Lacson said the panel had already drafted a partial report on the flood control mess, but it was withdrawn after many members requested further discussions. Tito Soto also noted that the committee will tackle the drafting of the partial report this week. And with us now to discuss this is Dr. Dennis Coronacion of the USC Department of Political Science. Good morning, Dr. Dennis, and thank you for joining us here on Morning Matters.
Hello, good morning, Pauline. Good morning to all your viewers. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, first, what do you make of another brewing coup, talks of another brewing coup in the Senate? And how would you assess the current stability of the majority bloc in the Senate?
Well, according to Senator Tito Soto, Senate President Tito Soto, I think their numbers are intact, no? So, meaning to say, no one from among their ranks is interested to any offer from the minority to join them, or just like based on the reports, itong si Senator Lauren Ligarda is being offered the position of Senate President, which according to reports again, she rejected. So I think it's understandable that this is happening if we're going to take a look at the larger picture, kasi anytime soon, there's going to be at least an impeachment complaint is going to be filed against the Vice President. And according to Senator Robin Padilla, siya ay pro-Inday. Sana magkaroon daw ng pro-Inday Sara na Senate President. So if we're going to connect the dots, parang by the time, what they want is that by the time that the impeachment complaint will be refiled against the Vice President, they hope that they already have the leadership in the Senate so that they can do something about it. Unlike sa ngayon, nasa minority block sila, parang mahirapan silang protektahan at tulungan si Vice President Sara Duterte. Should the impeachment complaint be passed by the House of Representatives.
So would you say, Dr. Dennis, that the hold of Tito Soto now on the Senate presidency is quite tenuous, not so secure?
Well, yes, we can say that. Pwede natin sabihin yun. Pero tingin ko, it's naman tawag dito, he will remain in office, I suppose, in the next few weeks. Kasi talaga namang he's in a precarious situation since the minority bloc has been very aggressive in ousting him from the Senate President position.
And what do you make of Senator Lauren Ligarda reportedly declining the offer to become Senate President?
Well, it might be true, but there are also reports saying that she was the one who initiated. She was the one who was going around asking her colleagues if they would be willing to support her bid for the Senate presidency. Pero we don't know what's the exact truth here, no? Pero what's important is that the Senator Lauren Ligarda has denied it, and I think wala naman siyang planong palitan si Senate President Tito Soto. So tingin ko wala siyang gagawing aksyon para matanggal bilang Senate President si Tito Soto.
But Dr. Dennis, what would be the implication of another potential coup at the Senate? What does that say about the current stability of our leadership in government?
Well, it has a lot of implication in the sense na whatever legislative priorities that they have set alongside with the executive will definitely be affected. Tapos since all these movements, all these attempts to replace the Senate President have something to do with, of course, the politics, the politics outside the Senate. Meaning to say, yung paglalaban ng admin at saka yung opposition led by the Vice President. So it creates the impression, of course, that there is, to a certain extent, of political instability that's happening. Kumbaga man, this can disrupt, if there's any immediate impact, this can disrupt our lawmakers from doing their job, which is to make laws amend laws and repeal laws.
Well, speaking of politics, do you think this has anything to do with why the Blue Ribbon Committee decided to withdraw all of a sudden this supposed partial report on the flood control scandal? Because we initially saw this list already, the recommendations to file criminal and administrative charges, only to find out that certain members withdrew their signatures. What do you think is going on behind the scenes, Doctor?
Well, it's possible that the reason why the partial report of the Senate has been withdrawn is that perhaps the goal is to put some kind of stability in the Senate. Kasi baka mamaya yung mga napangalanan doon at saka yung mga kaibigan nila, mga allies nila in the Senate might cause disturbance. So maaring yun, it's a possible reason.
But what do you make? Have you seen the initial report already? What do you make of the charges filed? At nagulat po ba kayo doon sa mga taong inirekomendang kasuhan sa ombudsman?
Actually, I have not read the partial report, but I have listened to it kanina sa no media. Maari so ang tingin ko nga dyan is that baka kaya we need is because of the protest made by some of the members of the Senate, and possibly to prevent any instability that can be caused by this partial report.
Because included in the report are recommendations for charges even against their colleagues like Senators Cheese Escudero. There are also recommendations for further fact-finding on the former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. But this is just, again, based on their partial report or the draft that they have since withdrawn. But Dr. Dennis, also wanted to get your thoughts on how would you gauge the sentiment of the public right now when it comes to the flood control scandal? Do you think it has waned or nandun pa rin yung galit ng taong bayan?
No, I don't think it has waned. Nandun pa rin, nakasubaybay lang ang taong bayan. Nakikita naman natin sa mga surveys na that the people have become frustrated and disappointed as to the direction that the investigations have already gone into. So hindi satisfied ng mga tao. In-expect pa rin nila that those who are mentioned in the investigations will be held accountable. Siguro sa mga darating na buwan baka mag-express na naman ng anger and frustration and disappointment yung mga taong bayan. And it's possible that another protest rally can be organized. Okay, baka subaybayan na nila yung impeachment, yung progreso ng impeachments. So dalawang impeachment trial lang inaasahan ng mga taong bayan, and baka pag napasama yung yung frustration ng mga tao, this can turn into public pressure in the conduct of these impeachment trials that we are expecting.
But for you, Dr. Dennis, which institution do you think the public is most likely to trust to actually see accountability through? Is it the Ombudsman? Is it the Senate? May trust pa ba sa ating mga institusyon? Is it the ICI?
Meron, it depends on the institution that we're talking about. Yung ICI parang ang tingin ng mga tao, ng taong bayan doon, wala na tong wala na tong patutunguhan kasi patapos na rin naman ang trabaho, at saka yung pinangako na gagawin nila hindi naman nila nagawa 100%. I think if I recall in the recent survey conducted, I was surprised to find out na among the institutions, including non-government institutions, ang most trusted in terms of pursuing this accountability among the government officials, involved government officials, yung media as an institution. Mas mataas pa yung tiwala sa kanila ng mga tao kaysa doon sa mga government institutions that are supposedly pursuing itong accountability and transparency. So yung House of Representatives, They were trailing behind. Tapos itong Senate, ganun din. Ombudsman, ganun din. So, nagulat ako, mas nagtitiwala pa ang taong bayan sa media.
But are you still optimistic that big fish will actually be held accountable in this flood controls issue?
Well, I suppose it depends on how we define big fish, ano? Kasi right now, itong partisan politics is very much interlaced with the investigations. Talagang ramdam na ramdam natin yung yung politika sa mga investigasyon na to. So far, the only big fish that has been put to trial and put into prison is the former senator, si Bong Revilla. I don't know if he could, in the future, if he could see anyone na among the ranks of this big fish who is also identified with the administration. So, maaari yung mga, siguro nasa opposition. Oo, kagaya nung nabanggit nga kanina, si former Senate President Jesus Escudero. So, it's possible na he might also be a case might be filed against him along with Senator Joel Villanueva. But these people belong to the opposition. So the people are wondering, sino naman kaya among those affiliated or identified with the administration coalition would be put to jail at magkakasuhan, ano? So yun ang tanong ng bayan. So it should not be kumbaga man, for as long as partisan politics is going to be a big factor in these investigations, I don't think that the people, the Filipino public, will become satisfied.
I think the big question mark there, is the very own cousin of the president, former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. But let's shift gears. Dr. Dennis, let's also discuss the impeachment proceedings happening now over at the House Justice Committee. What do you make of the first two hearings so far on the impeachment complaints against President Bongbong Marcos?
Well, ang pinag-uusapan pa lang ay I think whether or not the two impeachment complaints have satisfied the standards when it comes to form and ongoing in tungkol naman sa substance. Well, the way it goes, mukhang yung sa first complaint, based on the substance, yung first impeachment complaint against the president, mukhang hindi ito baka ma-dismiss ito. It's very likely based on what we saw yesterday in
Dr. Dennis, I think we lost you there. Can you still hear us? We're going to try that again. Again, we were speaking to Dr. Dennis Coronacion. Hi, Dr. Dennis, can you hear us?
Hello? Yes?
Yes, there you go. Okay,
Right.
go ahead.
So as I was saying, yung first impeachment complaint it seems to be suffering from lack of substance based on the comments of our congressmen who are members of the Committee on I think Justice. Oo. So yun, mukhang madidismiss yun. Pero ngayon malalaman pa lang natin yung comments nila regarding the second impeachment complaint filed by the Makabayan Bloc or supported by the Makabayan Bloc. So it remains to be seen, parang it's hard to tell, mahirap husgahan kung papasabayan or but I suppose the biggest obstacle again for these two impeachment complaints, should they be able to overcome the challenges doon sa committee level, is the majority of the congressmen that have continuously thrown their support to the president. So again, itong impeachment process is a numbers game. So titingnan yung merits of the case, pero at the same time meron ring politika na nangyayari. Oo, so it's a numbers game.
Well, Representative Benny Abante did say, and he described the process as an exercise in futility, kasi nakikita na daw niya that the majority is already inclined to vote for insufficiency, at least with the first complaint. And it seems, tama yung mga initial impression, Dr. Dennis, that the impeachment complaint filed by Attorney Andre De Jesus was really weak. So, ano ba to? Is this, is it right, yung mga assumption that this was meant to protect President Bongbong Marcos, to inoculate him from impeachment?
Well, it lends credence to the accusation that this is, so to speak, impeach me. Oo. Kumbaga man, it's part of the ploy to protect the president from another impeachment complaint. Kumbaga man, dapat kinakailangan, pag should this fail, it's going to afford the president yung 1 year prohibition of filing another impeachment case against him. So yun, I think that's the ultimate goal of this first impeachment complaint against the president. So kung papanorin natin yung pagsagot ng yung nag-endorse ng first impeachment complaint, so I think that was that is Congressman Tinsay. Parang parang hindi niya kabisado yung yung impeachment complaint at hindi niya masagot na maayos yung mga tanong sa kanya ng mga fellow congressmen niya. So sabi ko, this is bound to fail, kasi halatang mahina yung allegations and factual basis. So definitely, it will not get the approval of the members of the Committee on Justice.
Well, you're right there, Dr. Dennis, because the members of the committee had a lot of questions. They were really throwing their questions at the one who endorsed this complaint, Congressman Jet Nisay. They were asking him, so which part of the Constitution did the respondent violate? Kasi yung allegations daw ay puro legal conclusions lamang based on hearsay, and no concrete answers were really provided during the hearing yesterday. But do you have different expectations for the second complaint, which is filed by the Makabayan Bloc?
Well, we do expect that the Makabayan Bloc's impeachment although I have not seen it, but I do expect that it's a better version of the first complaint. I am sure that those congressmen and the people who wrote the impeachment complaint did their assignment very well. Nag-research na mabuti, kumuha ng maraming factual evidence to support their allegations. So, tingin ko baka iba yung magiging opinion ng mga congressmen na part ng members ng Committee on Justice. But then again, sa akin lang, tingin ko yung nangyari kahapon, yung weakness ng when it comes to providing concrete situations and concrete evidence, it's possible that the second impeachment complaint might suffer the same deficiencies. Pero tingnan natin mamaya.
Well, what about the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte? 2 have already been filed before the House SecGen. What do you foresee there, Dr. Dennis? Do you think lulusot ito this time sa 20th Congress?
Well, basically, it's the same impeachment complaint that was filed last year. Meron lang idinagdag I think yung testimony ni testimony ni Madriaga. So, yun lang ang bago doon. As to whether or not it's going to make it through the scrutiny of the House of Representatives, pwede siguro kasi it was able to do it last time. It was successful last time, at least dun sa House of Representatives. And tingin ko naman mas maraming evidence dito. Although this was not even touched last year because of the decision of the senators to withhold the impeachment trial against the vice president. So hindi talaga nakita yung nasuri yung mga ebidensya. So but based on media reports that we heard in the past months, mukhang ano to mas sufficient compared to the impeachment complaint against the president.
But for you, Dr. Dennis, what are the political risks or implications of now having impeachment complaints against the two highest officials of the land?
Well, if kasi there are possible scenarios, since impeachment complaints have been filed against the highest officials of the land. So I can think of at least three possible scenarios. So one scenario is that what do you call this? Should the impeachment complaint be should these impeachment complaints be heard in the Senate as an impeachment court? Posibleng dalawa sila makonvict o kaya dalawa sila hindi makonvict, or one of them will be acquitted and then the other one will be convicted. So number one is going to it's going to be a test of loyalty for our senators. So wala pa nga election, 2028 elections, kinakailangan they already have to divide the line, para kanino ko ba talaga. Kasi even though sasabihin natin that the impeachment trial is also would have to consider the legal merits, pero most of it would be about political alignment. Oo, so malalaman kung para kanino talaga yung mga senators natin. Oo, and that's why itong kahapon, tsaka I think during the weekend, nabalitaan natin that there was an attempt to remove the Senate President. May kinalaman ito doon. This is already a move in order to protect the Vice President. Oo. So, yun, that's one. And then second, it's going to, of course, delay yung yung legislative agenda. Oo. Much needed reforms. So, pwedeng ma-delay yan because our senators will have to spend a lot of their time for the impeachment trials. Kung sakaling dalawa ay matutuloy. Kahit nga isa pa lang, magiging busy na sila eh. Kung kahit isang impeachment trial lang, magiging busy na sila, what more kapag dalawa pa? So those are the two implications that I can see right now. Should these impeachment complaints push through the Senate?
Well, the next few days and weeks will be very, very interesting and important. But for now, thank you very much for sharing all your insights and your time. That was Dr. Dennis Coronacion of the UST Department of Political Science. Now, in other news, House Majority Leader Sandro Marcos has filed a bill proposing a no-work, no-pay scheme for members of Congress. This links salaries and allowances to verified attendance and participation in plenary sessions and committee hearings. Marcos said the measure aims to promote greater accountability, transparency, and integrity in public service. Meanwhile, Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said that President Bongbong Marcos was surprised by his son's proposal. She added that the president will not intervene and will examine the proposed measure only when it is formally submitted to him.
Pero kung pag-uusapan po in general, maganda po ito dahil po para malaman naman nila na mga taong hindi nagtatrabaho ay hindi naman dapat na makinabang sa pondo ng bayan. Pero muli, inuulit natin ang sinabi ng Pangulo, hindi po niya saklaw ang paggawa ng batas.
Now, shifting gears to sports, Next Led opened their All-Filipino campaign with an epic 5-set win over fellow new-look squad, the Farm Fresh Foxies. Tied at 10-all in the fifth set, the Chameleons took control with a crucial 4-0 run, powered by newcomers Brooke Van Sickle and Myla Pablo. Pablo was named player of the game after contributing 19 points on 45% attacking efficiency, while Van Sickle added 20 markers and 11 excellent receptions. Meanwhile, the Capital One Solar Spikers claimed their opener against the Zeus Coffee Thunderbells in 4 sets. Bella Belen earned player of the game honors with 26 points, coming from 24 attacks and 2 aces. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you just the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.